Matthew 14, verse 22 to 36. You know, I heard a lot of sermons on walking on the water. I think Pastor Dick Williams, first time he met me, he says, "You're not a boat rower, you're a water walker." And a lot of you know how tough I have it to make a landing in the city, especially among men. But you know, the other day we inducted Della Hill. So when I started 6 years ago in this city, I was the only woman. And I had to find my trucks here. A lot of people had to back me up, even back to California. And all my education had to back me up. Now, we are 5 women and 3 men. See how the dimension changed? The Episcopal Church, she's a lady. Della's a lady. I'm a lady. Church of God has got a lady. On and on it goes. It shows you what God can do. So sometimes people tell me, women cannot preach. I say, okay, I'll go and sit down. If all the men wants to preach, and don't forget, this guy who gave me the key of this church, he gave up on this church. He didn't think he's tired. He didn't think he want to carry on. And he was 50-something, and I'm 63. So if I see Pastor in his 80s and Pastor Gene in his 80s, I mean, Pastor Gene preached a storm up this morning. And I see these people in their 80s, and they just go. I see these 2 pastors here, Ron and Mary Ann, how they hosted people and how charged up they are still for God. That's remarkable. I don't know if I will be able to do that when I'm 80. But you practically took the Vineyard Church over in your house, ma'am. Matthew 14:22 verse Matthew 14:22 to verse 36. Immediately Jesus made the disciples get onto the boat. He told them, go on the boat. Go ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on the mountainside by himself and prayed. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already considerable distance from the land. But the waves, beautified by the waves because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." Said one word, "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You are of little faith," he said. And when they all climbed back in the boat, the storm calmed down. Funny part of the whole story is Jesus sent them out. And you know, God is so good when he sent you out. He wants you to be stepping out in faith when you're out there. But when the storms come up and the boat are shaking around, our faith are dissipating by the moment. And that's not what it is all about. He wants you to have a lot of faith. And you know, he said to Peter, he of little faith, if you ask me to step out on a boat tomorrow, I cannot do that because you're not God. But if God said to me, step out on that boat, you will walk. And everybody that's in ministry in this church right now and got some sort of ministry, you step out in faith. You that don't step out in faith, and when we are in trouble, Jesus says one word. Come. Come. That is enough for us to come. Because they didn't see Jesus, they were wondering if he forsake them. Jesus never forsake you or leave you. Jesus never, ever, ever forsake you or leave you. If he's not there, he's watching all the time. Remember, his timing is not our timing. And when we say of little faith, man, what is big faith? If you have to walk on the water, ye of little faith, what is big faith going to look like? In Matthew 8, you can go and read on big faith. But I'm telling you, God's measurements is not our measurements, how we measure life. Our God does not like trauma. He's a big God. He gives big and he moves big. So today when we are going in for a collection after the song, I want you to think big. You don't sow in my ministry, but you sow in that pastor's ministry. What an honor for us today to be able to have him here for us, to minister to us. And when you fall, God is catching you. When Peter was in doubt, he's catching you. He's catching you. He's catching you. He's never going to let you fail. If you keep your eyes on the cross, he's never going to fail you. Never going to fail you. So as we sing this song that I select to you today, everybody knows this song. It's a beautiful song. Everybody knows this song. Let's sing it together. Richard, can you put the lights off for